Welcome to today's episode. You know, there are some quiet afternoons when I sit in the commentary booth watching the stadium lights slowly flicker on over the lush green grass, and I find myself asking a simple question. What is it that truly makes the beautiful game eternal? Is it the thunderous strikes that rip into the top corner? Is it the glittery 266 NG gold trophies raised high under a sky full of fireworks? Or is it just the dry statistics we use to measure genius? Someone who has spent a lifetime breathing and living this game, the answer lies in the invisible, quiet corners of fate. Football is at its most beautiful when it writes its own scripts. Scripts so perfect that even the greatest Hollywood screenwriters would bow their heads in awe. It is a quiet, powerful river of time, where generations do not break away from one another, but rather connect through warm, unexpected moments of destiny. And today, as the world of football turns its eyes toward the biggest stage of all, we are witnessing a living fairy tale. A story that began in a simple blue plastic tub in the locker room of Camp Nou in 2007 and is now heading toward its grandest chapter on the sacred turf of a World Cup final. This is the journey of Lionel Messi and Lamine Yamal. Decades from now, when football historians look back at the golden pages of this sport, I am certain they will pause for a very long time on this specific chapter. It is a beautiful, poetic bridge, connecting a legend at the twilight of his career with a teenager who holds the future of the sport at his feet. Let us take a step back in time, all the way to a cold December day in 2007 in the city of Barcelona. Back then, Lionel Messi was just a 20-year-old rising star with long, flowing hair and the shy, quiet face of a boy from Rosario who had only recently stepped into the global spotlight. Messi was already an extraordinary talent, having stunned the world with a hat trick against Real Madrid and a breathtaking solo goal against Getafe that mirrored Maradona's goal of the century. Behind those electric runs on the pitch was an introverted young man who was incredibly shy in front of cameras, and especially someone who had absolutely no idea how to hold a newborn baby. As part of a charity drive organized by the Barcelona Foundation and the newspaper Diario Sport, Messi was assigned to shoot a calendar with babies from local families facing difficult circumstances. Destiny chose the family of Munir Nasraoui and Sheila Ibana, immigrants from Morocco and Equatorial Guinea living in the humble neighborhood of Rocafonda on the outskirts of Barcelona. The baby they brought to the photo shoot that day was a tiny, wide-eyed infant only a few months old. His name was Lamine Yamal. The photographer who took that picture, Joan Monfort, recalled years later that it was a highly challenging shoot. Messi walked into the locker room and simply did not know what to do. He stood there, stiff and hesitant, in front of a plastic tub filled with warm water. The young man who could dance past the toughest defenders in the world was completely lost and clumsy in front of a tiny human being who was not even a year old. Sheila, Yamal's mother, had to step in to help, teaching Messi how to hold the baby and how to gently pour water over him. The final photo was captured. Messi, with a gentle, slightly awkward smile, lightly splashing water over baby Yamal sitting in that simple blue tub. At the time, it was just a single page in a charity calendar, quickly filed away in the massive archives of the Catalan giants. No one knew, no one noticed, and no one dared to dream that the warm water Messi poured over baby Yamal that day would resemble a quiet, sacred baptism of destiny. It was not just warm water. It was an invisible passing of the genius gene, a gentle touch from a football god to a future icon. I think about that moment a lot. It was simple, almost raw. There were no flashing LED lights, no roaring crowds of 90,000 fans, just the soft sound of water splashing against a plastic tub and the quiet gurgling of a baby. Yet, that simplicity is exactly what gives history its incredible weight. It proves that the most magnificent things in life are often planted from the most ordinary seeds. If that bathtub in 2007 was the starting point, the La Masia Academy was the sanctuary that made the wildest dreams come true. Both Messi and Yamal grew up drinking from the same well of football philosophy, first conceptualized by Johan Cruyff and later perfected by Pep Guardiola. La Masia is not just a youth academy, it is a school of character and a museum that preserves the purest football DNA on earth. Young players are not taught to run fast or shoot hard first. They are taught how to think, how to perceive space, how to treat the ball as a close friend, and how to carry themselves with humility. When Messi joined La Masia in the year 2000, as a fragile boy who needed growth hormone treatments to save his career, he had to adapt to a completely new environment half a world away from his family. But that hardship forged a resilient Messi, a genius who combined natural instinct with the sharp tactical mind of Catalan football. He became the blueprint, the lighthouse guiding every child who walked through the gates of La Masia after him. Years later, another boy with curly hair, carrying the hopes of an immigrant family from the humble streets of Rocafonda, entered those same gates. That was Lamine Yamal. At La Masia, Yamal did not just learn to play football, breathe the same air Messi breathed, ran on the same grass where Messi left his footprints, and was guided by coaches who had watched Messi grow. The philosophy of La Masia is like a river that never stops flowing. It has its quiet moments, its rough bends, but its waters never run dry. When you watch Yamal on the pitch today, you see those familiar, heart-stirring movements, the subtle drop of the shoulder to deceive a defender, the sharp cut inside from the right wing, and that uncanny vision of the field that is far too mature for his age. This is not a cheap copy. This is the inheritance of football DNA. Yamal does not try to imitate Messi. He plays with an intuition nurtured in the very same ecosystem. That invisible thread, running from the bath in 2007 to the training grounds of La Masia, is the ultimate explanation of why Barcelona continues to produce minds that defy the laws of the game. Of course, with that DNA comes an incredible weight, and nothing in Barcelona carries more pressure than the legendary number 10 shirt. It is a jersey worn by the gods of Camp Nou, the artistic Diego Maradona, the clinical Rivaldo, tragical Ronaldinho, and its ultimate peak, Lionel Messi. When Met left Barcelona in the summer of 2021, leaving in tears, he left behind a massive void and a shadow that blanketed the entire club. The number 10 shirt became a priceless heirloom, but also a terrifying burden. We saw other brilliant talents try to wear it, only for the weight of expectation and untimely injuries to stall their rise. The shirt felt like a boulder crushing the chest of anyone who dared to touch it. Real yet, ahead of the global stage, Barcelona made a historic decision. They handed the number 10 shirt to Lamine Yamal. It sparked fierce debates all over the sports world. Many called it madness, a rushed move that could ruin a raw diamond. People screamed for the club to leave the boy alone and not force the weight of an entire empire onto the shoulders of a teenager. But I saw a beautiful act of courage in that decision. Barcelona cannot live in the past forever, and the number 10 shirt cannot be kept in a glass museum case like an ancient relic. It needs to live, to breathe, and to fly under the stadium lights. And who could be more deserving than Yamal? The boy who was literally bathed by the very man who turned that shirt into a myth. And how did Yamal react to this ultimate test? He did not flinch. He put on the shirt with a bright smile and stepped onto the pitch with astonishing confidence. On his back was the legendary number 10, but on his feet was the wild, free-play style of a kid who grew up on the streets of Rocafonda. He scores, he assists, and he glides past veteran defenders with a calm that borders on the frightening. Watching him play, you do not feel the suffocating pressure of history. You only feel the joy of a free spirit. He is not playing to be the next Messi. He is playing to define the number 10 for a new generation, direct, fearless, and full of positive energy. If we look at them side by side at 19, the differences are fascinating. Think about Lionel Messi back then. He was a pure winger, a literal hurricane on the touchline. With his long hair flying, he would receive the ball on the right, drop his center of gravity incredibly low, and burst forward at a speed that defied physics. The ball seemed permanently glued to his left foot. Messi's style at 19 was a burst of raw, wild instinct, art for art's sake, where he could leave 4 or 5 defenders in his wake in a phone booth. Yamal at the same age shows a level of composure and maturity that is almost unnatural. He has the speed, but he also has longer strides and a brilliant ability to pace the game. 19-year-old Messi played at 100 miles per hour in every single situation. Yamal knows when to sprint, when to pause, and when to wait for his teammates. His dribbling is more expansive, roozy, using body feints and clever eye contact to manipulate defenders before delivering precise, incisive passes. While Messi at 19 was a devastating goal scorer and dribbler still developing his ultimate playmaker vision, Yamal seems to have debuted with the vision of a seasoned midfielder. Her ability to deliver outside of the foot trivela passes or pinpoint cross-field balls to the opposite flank is a lethal weapon. He does not just play for himself. He plays to elevate the entire team. Moreover, they face different kinds of pressure. Messi had to carry the expectations of an entire nation wanting him to be the next Maradona, all while battling muscle injuries as his body adapted to his explosive style. Yamal, on the other hand, lives in the age of social media, where every misplaced pass is a meme and every goal is hyped to the heavens. The media pressure today is much more constant and direct. Yet, Yamal carries himself with a serene calm. He celebrates his goals by shaping his fingers to display the number 304, the postal code of his humble neighborhood. That total lack of fear on the biggest stages is perhaps the greatest quality he shares with Messi. And that brings us to the grand stage of the World Cup. The tournament final, the absolute peak of the sport, where billions of eyes are glued to the screen. Picture the electric atmosphere in the stadium, the waves of blue and white of Argentina blending with the bright red of Spain to create a massive human mosaic. On one side, Lionel Messi steps onto the pitch wearing the captain's armband. At 39, his runs are no longer as rapid as they were in 2007, and his hair is touched with gray, but his eyes are as sharp as ever. This is his final dance. Messi plays with the deep wisdom of a man who has tasted every victory and every heartbreak the world has to offer. He does not need to run constantly. Every step he takes opens up acres of space, and every touch is a masterclass. On the other side, Lamine Yamal walks out with the fiery passion of a 19-year-old, wearing the number 10 for Spain. For Yamal, this is not just a final. It is the moment he stands opposite the man who once held him in a plastic tub. The man he watched on television throughout his entire childhood, the icon he revered as a football deity. The match is tight, a tense battle for every inch of the pitch. And then, in a crucial moment in the second half, as the ball is cleared from the Argentine penalty area, Yamal controls it near the right touchline. Directly in front of him, tracking back to defend, is Lionel Messi. The stadium falls silent for a brief second. Time seems to stop. The entire world shrinks down to just these two figures. A 39-year-old looking at a 19-year-old. What does Messi see in the eyes of the boy in front of him? Perhaps he sees a reflection of his own youth, remembering the shy kid who once held a tiny baby, now grown up and challenging his throne. And what does Yamal see in Messi's eyes? He sees an entire sky of legacy, the ultimate peak of what a footballer can achieve. Yamal makes a daring, confident move with the ball, and Messi uses all his veteran experience to close him down. Allied, not with malice, but with the profound respect of two souls who speak the exact same language of football. It is not a battle of life and death. It is a conversation between two eras, spoken through movement and touch. No matter who lifts the trophy at the end of that night, the real winner is the sport itself. When the final whistle blows, the image of Messi and Yamal walking toward each other, sharing a warm embrace, and exchanging their shirts under the stars will be a moment for eternity. The number 10 of the past meeting the number 10 of the future. It is the most beautiful, poetic passing of the torch we could ever ask for. We often fear the passing of time. As the legends of our generation prepare to say their final goodbyes to the pitch, a quiet sadness can creep over us. We worry that the best days of football are behind us, that the future will only bring clinical, robotic players who lack the romance of the past. But the story of Messi and Yamal shatters that fear. It teaches us a beautiful lesson about legacy. Inheritance in football does not mean making a carbon copy. Yamal does not need to be a second Messi. Messi is a once-in-a-century genius. If Yamal tried to copy him, he would only suffocate his own unique talent under the weight of imitation. What is beautiful is that Yamal is carving his own path. He has the braces-wearing smile of youth, the long-strided elegance, and a style that is incredibly smart yet retains the joyful spark of the streets. True inheritance here is the spirit of the game, playing with pure joy, facing challenges with an upright head, and staying true to the beauty of football. It is like a torch carried across generations. The runner before may grow tired, his pace may slow, but the flame he carries never goes out. He hands it to the next runner, younger and full of energy, so that the light can continue to warm the hearts of millions around the world. Watching Yamal today, we can look at the future of football with absolute confidence. We do not need to mourn the past, because the past is alive, beautifully adapted into the form of new talent. The river of football keeps flowing, and every drop carries the memory of its grandest sources. Let us look back at that 2007 photo one last time. Real picture taken on an old digital camera, its colors slightly faded, but its essence brighter than ever. A youthful Messi with messy hair, and baby Lamine Yamal smiling in a blue plastic tub. 19 years ago, it was just a random zero-value snapshot. Today, it is a holy relic of football history. The sheer coincidence of it is so stunning that it makes you believe in a quiet, guiding hand of fate on him. Out of all the babies born in Catalonia that year, destiny chose the one who would grow up to become the youngest goalscorer in Euro history, wear the iconic number 10 for Barcelona, and share the pitch with Messi in a World Cup final. The circle has closed beautifully, but a new, larger spiral is just beginning. Messi will eventually retire to a peaceful life with his family, watching the game as a fan or inspiring others from the sidelines. But Yamal's steps will continue to grace the pitches of the world, carrying a piece of Messi's soul in every single touch of the ball. And who knows, somewhere out there, right at this very moment, maybe another photograph is being taken. Maybe a mature Lamine Yamal is holding a newborn baby in a simple plastic tub for another charity event. That baby might be crying or smiling innocently, completely unaware of the world. 19 years from now, when Yamal is preparing to say goodbye to the game, that baby will step onto the pitch to face him. That is the endless, beautiful magic of football. It reminds us to believe in miracles, to cherish the simplest moments, and to keep loving this game with a pure heart. Because in the end, football is not just about 22 players and a ball. It is a mirror reflecting the most magnificent parts of human nature and destiny. Great Lionel Messi, for a legendary career that has brought so much joy to the world. Thank you, Lamine Yamal, for bringing hope and fresh energy to the future, and thank you to all of you for tuning in today to share in this incredible story. Let us cherish these historic moments together, because we are incredibly lucky to be alive to witness them. Until next time, keep loving the beautiful game, and who knows, if you ever take a photo with a baby in a bathtub, hold on to it. You might just be holding the future of the world.